I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Mark Angelides, Sarah Cowgill, Tim Donner, and Scott Cosenza, and this is Liberty Nation's online TV news program. Election 2020 appears to be a never-ending ball of confusion. And while Mr. Biden is parading around with his president-elect banners and holding briefings, the Trump team is battling for truth at the ballot box. Is Rudy Giuliani and his dream team making any headway in getting to the bottom of this chaos? To answer that question, let's start with our own legal affairs man, Scott Cosenza, Esquire. Scott, battles have been won and lost in key swing states, but eyes are transfixed on Pennsylvania. What has Team Rudy accomplished, and where are we headed to next?
Okay, I think it's easier to answer the second question first. I think where we're headed next is a denial of the campaign case, probably through granting a motion to dismiss. And if I look into my crystal ball, the Third Circuit will affirm that. The campaign will appeal to the Third Circuit. They'll be denied there, and they'll appeal again to the United States Supreme Court, where I predict they won't even lose a case. They won't even get a hearing, would be my prediction, because the Supreme Court won't even grant a hearing in the sort of low-hanging fruit case that's already before the court, which is the allowing extra days for mail-in ballots to be presented, even though the law states clearly the opposite. So,
wow. Oh, okay. We got a Debbie Downer here. Anybody else watch the news conference with Rudy and Powell and friends? I thought it was fascinating, and it seemed to me like they're finally getting revved up to start launching some serious court action. I don't get the sense that it's over.
I think there's two fronts that the Trump campaign team is fighting on here. One of them is the legal front, the legal court. The other is the court of public opinion. Scott and I discussed this on the Uprising podcast. You can make all kind of fantastical claims, maybe true or not, on national TV or in a press conference, but it's a very different thing to prove it in a court of law. And I think that's what the Trump legal team has run into here with Rudy Giuliani, who hasn't practiced law in over 30 years. By most accounts, including Scott's, he's not done exactly a bang-up job. You've got Sidney Powell, who's very highly respected, but apparently, is more in the background. So, I mean, they have to win the court of public opinion.
Wait. She wasn't in the background today.
She was front and center.
Sarah?
She was front and center, and she laid out a really good case, point by point by point. Now, I'm not a lawyer, as Mr. Scott Cosenza, Esquire, is, but knowing how my people in the flyover states are reacting, they're following Newsmax. They're following what Sidney Powell has to say, and they're not giving up. So if that's your court of public opinion, it's not dying.
She's done very well in the court of public opinion. I watched with great interest her appearance on the Bartiromo show over the weekend. And then I watched the proceedings in court and waited for some of these fantastic allegations of CIA programs and Venezuelans and this and that to make their way into court in a substantive way, and found zero there.
Okay, but today he said he was setting it up. They were setting up the stage for this. Mark, you watched it over there.
I did, yes. Actually, I felt that it very much ties into winning both hearts and minds. So the hearts is, as Tim says, it's the getting the people behind, the people of the country behind him. And the mind is obviously what's happening in the courts. A poll that came out today, very, very interesting. It showed that America has actually united, but it's united in the belief that some kind of major fraud took place that robbed Donald Trump of the presidency. Now, whether that majority is 60%, I believe, on the poll, is correct or not, that there's no way that Trump can fight a legal battle and, however small those chances are, get the presidency again if he doesn't have the people behind him. So there's no point in doing one without the other. It's love and marriage.
I don't know if I agree with you. That's not how I perceive our court systems as working. I see this as being fought like a PR battle, not like a legal battle.
No, I think what he was saying was, I agree with Mark. I think it's a heart and mind issue. He said, what we're doing today is just, we're setting up the public information, and we hope you disseminate this information. You should disseminate this information. You should look into this. We got no modern day Woodward and Bernsteins hanging around the New York Times or the whatever these days. But he said, these court actions, basically right now, they only have 2 court actions in process. But I think, to just dismiss it, Scott, he said he's got affidavits from hundreds of people. They have lots of evidence.
Lisa,
can we just ignore that?
I listened to the hearing, and I heard Rudy Giuliani say to the judge that they were not pressing a fraud claim in that court. In other words, so they say fraud on TV, and what I'm telling you is when they get to court, they say it's not about fraud. It's about illegal or a legal requirement for ballots, such as to say there's a problem with a signature or something like that. So I'm just repeating to you what has been said in court, and I'm informing that the fraud and massive fraud claims that they're talking about on TV, they're saying the exact opposite in court. That's what they've said to date, both in city court or state court in Philadelphia and in federal court in Pennsylvania as well.
Well, alternatively, they're not bringing those fraud claims forward yet, because obviously they've got to go for a single issue, isn't it, when they go to the court, Scott? So that one that they're presenting.
Well, no, but just because they haven't brought that issue doesn't mean they can in the future, Mark. But I would just say, tick-tock,
Sure.
Again, going to the court of public opinion, they have to prop up the belief among Trump supporters that this election was stolen. And,
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you. They don't have to prop that up. That's already there. There's Mark.
But they need to communicate it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
70% of the people already believe.
Yeah, 60%. And that includes, I think, between 20 and 30% Democrats.
It's remarkable, really. I've spoken to dozens of people since this election. I suspect most of you have. And among the Trump supporters, the people who are activists on the ground, really involved, they believe it was stolen. But yesterday, I was in a group of, fairly well-heeled, successful Wall Street types as part of a meeting, and there were about 9 or 10 of us on the call. So I figured that I'd hear, well, we just have to accept it and move on and let's see how the markets do. But their belief was exactly the same as so many, grassroots people, that the election was stolen. It was almost universal. So among Trump people, whether it can be proven in a court of law or not, I can tell you that the vast majority of the 73 million who voted for Trump will never accept that this was a legitimate election.
Sarah, what are your thoughts here?
I absolutely agree. No one's ever going to think it's a legitimate election. And if that survey is saying 60% of America, including Democrats, the Democrats probably, and especially the ones I happen to know, think there was some hanky-panky going on. But the outcome seems to be in their favor. So do they care about the recounts and the revotes and getting to the bottom of it? Not this year. They're going to care in 4 more years if they lose. I mean, that's the way they cared in 2016. So I don't think, it's an inconvenient truth when 60% of this country thinks our elections are screwed up. That's just horrifying.
Well,
that's banana republic stuff. When the actual integrity of the elections is questioned by more than 50% of the American people. Think about what that implies.
Yes.
Tim, it's actually not banana republic. It's Venezuelan, as is the home and ownership of the Dominion software. Apparently,
saw that also.
It was apparently
the presser today.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Dominion Voting Systems was developed for Venezuela, for Hugo Chavez, for elections in Venezuela, originally.
Correct.
Yeah, but I mean, they're talking about our votes being counted over in Germany, and the presser today.
None of those claims were made in court, by the way.
Yeah.
What
they're saying is what the point that they made, and I think you were busy, and maybe. Am I right in saying you didn't see the presser today, Scott?
I'm not entirely sure who was
Okay, this
up
was
today.
Giuliani and Powell and DeGeneva. And the bottom line, they said, was what they're trying to do is to make sure that the states don't certify, because
Certainly, that's their goal.
they have many, many issues. They have affidavits, they have people, they read letters. I do not, I'm sorry, but I don't think this is over in the courts. I really don't. I think this is just the beginning of what Giuliani and Powell have going on. And they won the ability to not certify Wayne County in Michigan. They said they had, let me see here, 220 affidavits from people in Michigan. That's evidence. They said they have massive claims of overvoting. They've got some guy from, is it Smartmatic and Dominion on the record? I mean, it looks
yeah,
like
they have a Dominion whistleblower guy. Yes, they do.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks
I
to
can
me
tell
like
you
a
that I'll be
holocaust
closely
of evidence.
following their court filings for LibertyNation.com, and if they do make a filing that indicates, that massive fraud, which they haven't to date, obviously that will change things.
Maybe they need to hire Michael Avenatti. I hear he's free at the moment.
What happened to his presidential campaign?
Is he in jail?
He's being sentenced in February, apparently.
Tim, Democrat Lyndon LaRouche proved that being incarcerated is no impediment to mounting a campaign for office. So.
Well, then I guess Roger Stone and Michael Flynn might consider running for office as well.
All righty. Well, our legal eagle doesn't seem to think a Trump win is in the cards, but the faithful are still hoping and praying. And, guys, as the Trump base watches and waits, Biden folks are busy out there printing business cards. So time's running out for Trump, and we're likely going to have an answer relatively soon, certainly before the first of the year. But the question arises, will it be the entire electorate can agree upon? Will it be that kind of a, an outcome? And I feel like if the Republican Party doesn't make hay now, how will they ever, ever, ever win in the future?